that tweet?
Maybe if I email DraftKings, I want to do that. They'll let me start playing those tournaments again.
Yeah, if I don't clean this up, I'm probably going to have to retire. What's going on, everybody? We are live. Friday, we've made it. January 25th, 10-game slate, coming off of last night's just ridiculous slate. I mean, it got just super wonky there at 7 o'clock with the Randall news. It all just went to garbage. But it was fun. For some reason, I really enjoyed last night's slate. What do you think? Were you on it?
Yeah, I thought it was fun. There were so many good plays. Like, even with Randall being out, it didn't really make the slate like any more of a huge chalk fest than a 4-game slate was going to be anyway.
No.
Yeah, so I don't know. I thought it was a pretty fun one.
Yeah, there's something about it. Right combination of games and like fast-paced, offensively oriented teams. And
they all actually stayed competitive, I think was the big thing. I mean, outside of the Suns, that got a little out of hand. But always fun.
So we'll touch on the bankroll challenge. Yeah, so we get so many questions about like how do you play with a small bankroll, that we talk about MMEing too much. So I topped off the old DK bankroll at $100 yesterday. I played $5 in double ups, and then I max entered the 20 max quarter tournament. And I'm just going to track that, through the rest of the NBA season and just, kind of show what it's like to actually grind that sort of bankroll. And then it allows me to talk a little bit more about cash, which is something I don't generally do, and still have the thought process of MMEing. So last night, cash lineup finished above the cash line, which is fantastic, and I almost doubled up in the quarter, so rolling in an extra $9 and change. You just got to build that bankroll.
Once you win that a couple of times, will you expand into the mini max, or are you just going to stick with the quarter?
Yeah, so I'm going to try to play about 10% of the bankroll on a day-to-day basis. So if I let's just say that I bank the quarter tonight and the bankroll goes up to $600 or something, I will expand into additional cash play, and then I'll still max the quarter, and then whatever's left I'll start getting into, if it's the mini max or the 20 max dollar tournament, something along those lines. But I'll start to grow it then.
Cool.
Yeah, it should be fun. And gives me a reason to look at the slate a little bit different. I'm going to do it on DK, which I don't normally play on. So it'll be fun to just focus on it a little bit. Gives me something to do in this stretch to the end of the season.
Yeah, and I mean, if nothing else, it just means that you have to be glued to your computer for $12 a day.
Yeah, I'm coming around to it at this point. I'll probably miss some 10 o'clock news that comes out at 9:55 because I'm already asleep, but I can handle it.
Yeah,
I can handle it. As usual, we are brought to you by Thrive Fantasy. As usual, I've done no preparation in pasting this link, bit.ly/Awesemo. If you want to sign up at Thrive, you'll get $10 on your first $10 deposit, $20 on 100, and $50 on 200. Thrive is a new DFS site that focuses on player props. They give you a list of 20 player props for the day. You have to pick 10 of them, and you're trying to pick whether a player will go over or under a particular points, rebounds, assists total, maybe a couple of those categories added together. At the end of the show, Adam and I will go over our favorite 5 props. And then, as usual, NBA strategy, promo code, 50% off your first month with us. Any package you choose. That includes stuff with Fantasy Cruncher. So if you want to check us out, if you want to check out Fantasy Cruncher, use the promo code NBA strategy. I don't want Jahlil Okafor to become a thing.
I was thinking that yesterday as he once again played well.
I don't know what to make of it all.
I want his price tag to just hurry up and rise.
Yep. So do I. All right, we got 10 games today. We're spread out all over the map. Lots of injury news hanging in the balance, so let's just dive in. The Orlando Magic hosting your Washington Wizards. 111.25 implied total for the Magic. 107.25 for the Wizards. That's a 4-point line for the Magic. There's a couple games that didn't have lines, now that I think about it, that I want to make sure that they come out and I get the right shit in here. Yep, they're still not out. Okay. Nice little pace up spot for Orlando. Although I feel like I heard you guys on the deeper dive mention last night that Washington's been playing a bit slower with
Yeah,
Wall out.
yeah, with Wall out, with Satoransky in. I don't remember the exact number, but I think they're around like 100 possessions per game now.
Okay, that's something I'll maybe adjust a little bit. Probably bring this game down a possession or so. Vooch cresting 10K now on FanDuel, 10-2, 9,700 on DraftKings, $41 on Yahoo. It's not that I don't like him, but he's getting to a price point now where on a slate with 10 games, with the amount of center talent that's in the league, it's becoming hard to prioritize.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I'm at as well. It's a great spot. Thomas Bryant might die. Jan Mahinmi is not.
Oh shit! I had coffee in my mouth for that.
Jan Mahinmi's not gonna be the answer either. Washington's been a terrible rebounding team. Vooch obviously does everything. The only problem, and it's exactly what we saw 2 nights ago when Vooch had a very good game. He was like 18% owned against the Nets, went out and scored, I don't know, like 58 fantasy points or something, and was completely useless because guys cheaper than him smashed their price tags. Guys more expensive scored more points. And it really did not help you, even though he did very, very, very well. That's kind of how I assume this is going to be as well. It's really how I feel about most centers once they get up into this price range, as long as their name is not Joel Embiid or Karl-Anthony Towns.
Yeah, I can't remember if we talked about it on the show or if it was just Laffy and I talking about it before it started. But, Vooch put up 58. It was the eighth highest total of the slate. The problem was that number 2, 3, 4, and 5 all had center eligibility. Jokic smash, Gasol, Embiid, Blake Griffin. And it's just like, okay. And that's sort of how I felt before the night started. It was like, okay, there's like 7 or 8 fantastic center plays. And when it happens like that, like, you're happy. Like, if that happens at 7 o'clock and you get Vooch in there, you're like, oh, nice. Like, I nailed it. And then at the end of the day, it's just like, okay, I could have had 70% of my center exposure anywhere and it would have hit.
Yeah, exactly. And it was I guess kind of like the opposite for me in that I really, really liked him. And then I get done my crunches and I look at what I have after lock and I'm like, okay, Vooch is 18% owned and I have 5%. Like, shit, this isn't going to be good. I didn't even notice. Like, I knew he had a good game, but like there was no point in the night where I was just like, damn, I wish I had more Vooch.
Yeah, replacement level is really interesting at center right now because it's just a laundry list of dudes that have the ability to go crazy. There's always just like one of them that's slightly lower priced that ends up being probably the better play, but you're just getting so much DFS output.
Yeah. And so quickly touching on that, not related to Vooch, but I had mentioned it on a previous show, and it's something I've been doing a little bit more lately. And so far, it's been having success. Normally, I don't like putting a ton of rules in the cruncher because, I don't want to accidentally limit and kind of cut myself off to certain exposures. But I've been playing around with on DraftKings, taking a lot of the power forward center eligible guys and just limiting them to power forward so that I get more exposure to actual centers. Because, I use randomness and everything, and it's going to just give me, a lot of times it'll give me, a power forward, just kind of suboptimal upside lineups. And so I've been playing around with like limiting my flex a little bit more to get more centers in there and then limiting who actually can play center. And so far it's been working really well. Like I liked the upside that I'm getting from kind of forcing in like double center lineups.
Yeah. Yeah, Jokic, Gasol, Embiid, Vooch, 4 of the top 8 guys on that day, all just single center eligibility. Whiteside went crazy there. It's just a lot of talent at center right now.
That was an Okafor slate too, I think.
I
think he was like 4,900 or something.
He finished with 40 fantasy points. He was 21st in like total points. He was below the break on Basketball Monster right now. And then you still got like Turner, who had a fully functional game. Just centers, loading up. I want to like more out of Orlando just because of the spot. But some Aaron Gordon I think is perfectly fine. He's projected to be like 16% owned on both sites, so you're just kind of with the field. It's I don't see it as like an Aaron Gordon stand. After that, I'm kind of just good.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, normally I love taking guys against this Wizards team, but on a full 10-game slate, this doesn't project as one of the faster-paced games. Washington, in addition to playing slower, they've been better defensively. So, even defending 3-pointers for the season, they've been the second worst team in 3-point differential. But over the last month, they're right in the middle of the pack. They've turned things around defensively. So it's just a really mediocre spot where I'm perfectly happy with whatever Vooch or Gordon or whatever I get, but I just don't think I'll be getting much of it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just don't see it. And like Orlando's at full strength outside of whether or not Jerry Grant gets the point guard minutes or Isaiah Briscoe rolled his ankle. Like, it's not relevant. It's just that's the only thing that really matters. DJ Augustine projecting for 10% ownership on FanDuel is interesting at 4,900. I would just rather have 0.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate the price tag, but let's remember who we're talking about. You know, he's coming off of a monster game, and he throws them up occasionally. But you're talking about someone that is most likely going to play 28 to 30 minutes, and he's DJ Augustine. So more often than not, now that his price tags come up, you're just going to get a completely useless, mediocre game out of him, and people are going to roster him because he had a good game last game.
Yep. Let's talk
Wizards. Nothing changed is the thing.
Right. Let's talk Wizards. Bradley Beal, 10-1 on FanDuel, 8,900 on DraftKings, $40 on Yahoo. He's projected for 10% ownership on FanDuel, 19 on DK, and 40 on Yahoo. Or I don't know what on Yahoo. I'm just reading the price again for reasons that I don't know. Fuck it. As much as I want to play him, like, again, 10-1 for Bradley Beal on FanDuel feels really similar to 10-2 with Vooch. Like, I understand why he's that price, and it makes perfect sense. On a 10-game slate, it makes it really hard to prioritize.
Yeah, exactly. It's really similar to how it was yesterday too. You know, there was no reason to dislike Beal in a vacuum except for the fact that you had guys like Drew Holiday and Devin Booker, you know, cheaper. Yeah. So it's probably going to be the same thing here. You know, 8,900 for Beal. I'm really happy with it. It's just I kind of doubt that I get it done.
Yep, I agree. 19% ownership on DK. I would assume I end up with less than that. But I would. There's no like amount really that I would be like, oh no, I got X amount of Bradley Beal because it looks great. I have no problem with it.
Right. I don't think there's an amount on either end. Like if I ended up with like 5%, I mean, I'd be a little bit scared, but it wouldn't be like, oh no, like I don't have any. And if I ended up with 25, as long as I was sure that my projections were right and that's what I got, then I'd be fine with that too.
Right. It's a really weird scenario for a day like this, but I totally agree. 5 or 30, I think, is totally reasonable.
Right.
Great analysis for you guys. We are very comfortable being way under or way over the field on Bradley Beal.
It does go to the point, and I'm not sure about you, but I've been asked more lately than normal. Like, do I like how I get my exposures, or not even how, just like, do I try and be overweight on certain guys that I like more? And it's just like, for basketball, I kind of just, whatever my projections and process gives me, for 99 out of 100 times, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I will look into spots that are egregious in either direction to try to figure out why it's getting there,
right,
and then use those guys as comparison points to what's around their same salary. So for some reason, I get to 60% of someone that's projected for 20. The first thing that I want to do is make sure that I didn't type anything in incorrectly. And then the second thing I want to do is see if anybody is around that guy at that price point so that I can just cut him to 40 and make more unique lineups by figuring out who I'm missing.
Right. Yeah, like if I get someone that, I'm getting kind of disproportionate amounts of, normally it's that I kind of unintentionally like aired on the side of giving them an extra minute or two, and then I just happen to like err on the low side for everyone around them.
Yep.
And so it's like, oh well, if I just take that away, now I'm spread out, I'm good. But outside of guys just like popping out that I don't really think that I don't know why they are. It's not that I go in and it's like, oh man, this is a Bradley Beal day, I need to make sure that I force him in.
Yeah, I rely on everything that I've set up over the past 5 years to just steer me in the right direction as much as possible. Otto Porter, 7,100 on FanDuel, 6,100 on DraftKings, $22 on Yahoo. Not really getting much love on FanDuel. Doesn't really surprise me. The prices on all these Wizards guys are better on DraftKings, except for Thomas Bryant. How are you managing Otto Porter right now?
He's my favorite guy from the Wizards.
Yeah.
He sucked last night. He's killed me the last couple of times that I've rostered him, but the price tag's still really fair. He's still playing big minutes. He played 34.5 minutes last night. He shot 0 for 7 from 3. You can't do anything about that. The opportunities were there. He just didn't make his shots. He scored like 28 fantasy points with a terrible shooting game. It happens, but the opportunity's there. The usage is still there. The rebounding's there. To me, at this price tag, he's still a really strong play.
I couldn't agree more. Also, like Beal, 19% expected ownership on DraftKings. Another spot where I feel like that's probably perfectly correct.
Yep.
Rest of these guys. Yesterday, Laffy and I were just like, we don't even need to talk about Satoransky. Sure as shit. Got the flame icon next to his name on DraftKings.
Yeah, he was in my best line. I was overweight on him just because his projected ownership was so low.
Yeah.
And I saw it, and I went back and I bumped up more of like the guys around him to try and get less. And then I still ended up overweight, and I'm like, man, this is not going to be fun. But yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, he's
playing monster minutes.
Yeah, he is impossible for me. I can't get it. And whatever day that we talk shit about him on a morning show it's like he's listening and taking it to heart.
Right.
I'd be fine if I had a little bit of him. Same for Ariza, just because of the minutes. I assume that Thomas Bryant is probably the guy that we want to talk about the most. Whoa. I don't know what they're doing anymore.
So from what I can figure out, and it's tough with Scott Brooks because the center rotation is always really kind of inconsistent anyway. But if I had to put down some kind of like guideline on how to approach the Wizards, it's play Thomas Bryant against teams with centers, or not even. I guess they don't need a traditional center. Like he's athletic enough, but against teams that don't have a very good offensive center that either can bully him or destroy him in the pick and roll, because he's undersized and he's bad in the pick and roll. Vooch, I think, can force Jan Mahinmi to play more minutes, and that's what scares me for Bryant. When he loses minutes, it's normally either because Washington goes to their really small lineup with Jeff Green at center, or it's because he can't hang defensively and Mahinmi has to play more. I think that there's certainly a chance that happens here. That being said, if somehow he does hold his own, it's a spot where I would expect him. I expect the Wizards to play a center more than normal because of Vooch. So if Bryant actually does play well, he should at least have the opportunity to get 26 to 28 minutes. It's just that I'm not very confident that he allows that to happen.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel. I don't know what to do with him. It feels like it could be a good spot. And then I also see the opposite scenario where today is the day that Jan Mahinmi gets 20 minutes, and I feel like I would want at least a little bit of him as a $3,200 punt on DraftKings.
Right. So, I mean, the nice thing is that Bryant's still 5,400, which while it's not, expensive, it's expensive enough where even if he gets 26 minutes, he probably isn't a great play.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be there on Mahinmi except for the fact that he's a center.
Yep. I got it. There's not really much to like here in this game.
Yeah, there really isn't. I want to go back. Part of me wants to keep going to Jeff Green just because the price tag's so cheap and people don't play him. But again, this just isn't a team where I think it's going to be very easy for the Wizards to close small.
And his minutes are just all over the damn place. 28, 25, 21, 35, 39. Those are the last four. Then 25 before that. It's just...
Yeah, it's been frustrating. Like, he got 28 last night. I didn't even realize he'd gotten that many because I was just watching him not score points for a third of my teams.
There you go. Let's move on. The Brooklyn Nets hosting the New York Knicks. Lots to talk about here. 116.5 implied total for the Nets, 106.5 for the Knicks. Are they really 10-point favorites, or did I type that shit in wrong? I mean, I get it. Yeah, 10-point favorites at home. Well, I'll be a monkey's uncle. Pour one out for Spencer Dinwiddie for the next 6 weeks. Caron Butler breaking the news that he's got an injury.
No, that's a bankroll saver.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. I'm so happy that I can just stop having 2.5 times the field on Spencer Dinwiddie every night. Might actually give me a different lineup construction for once. Apparently he's going to be out a bit. At least he's got a lot of money to pay those doctor's bills. D'Angelo Russell, 8,800 on FanDuel, 8,600 on DK, $34 on Yahoo. This looks great, right?
Yeah, I mean, you still run the risk of him having a bad game, obviously, but it does at least take options away from Kenny Atkinson because Napier's probably going to have to play a bunch of minutes anyway. Dinwiddie can't steal minutes from Russell now. I have him in for 34 minutes. It's obviously a really, really nice spot. The price tag has gotten really high, but I mean, the ceiling's there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go there in cash games, I don't think. It seems like a pretty tough price point for that.
22% expected ownership on FanDuel, 17 on DK. It wouldn't be my favorite choice in cash just because of his like extreme volatility, but at the same time, he's been a 1.3 fantasy point per minute guy over the last 30, and he's got a matchup against the hapless Knicks. Just from playing time alone with Dinwiddie out, like he might just be able to luck his way into a passable enough score.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have no issue whatsoever on Russell. We'll need to talk about the least interesting piece of all of this, which would be the lock of Shabazz Napier in cash, 3,800 on FanDuel, 3,600 on DraftKings, the flat 10 on Yahoo. There's a very easy start to your cash lineups, everybody. Shabazz Napier. There's basically no way that it's not Napier. They just don't have, unless it's Theo Pinson night. Which, sometimes it's just Theo Pinson night. Do you have anything to say about Napier other than that? He's at mid 40s ownership right now, both sides.
No, and he's productive is the thing. It's not like he's not Trevion Graham being forced into 26 to 28 minutes. He's a guy that's going to actually go out there, pick up assists. He's going to shoot the ball. Yeah, he's fine.
He's good.
Yeah.
This is the amount of minutes I've expected him to play all season.
Right. And also, this is an easy spot for him to do it because you're talking about a Knicks team that plays just an abundance of guards anyway.
I thought you were going to say garbage.
Well, both.
Yeah. There are no hot takes for Napier. On FanDuel, there's literally no way that he hurts you. Your only downside is the drop. So for me, he's a no-brainer. Jared Allen, 6,600 FanDuel, 5,800 on DraftKings, 24 on Yahoo. Jared Allen's price on DraftKings is why you don't have to go to Thomas Bryant. Not that I think Jared Allen is like a fantastic player or anything today. It's good. He's projected for 27% ownership. That's a little scary. But that's sort of the reason why you don't have to like hope that Thomas Bryant plays minutes. There's just other guys around him.
And Jared Allen's just kind of the example of why it's so hard to pay up at center outside of for Embiid or Towns, the guys that legitimately can go get like 70 or 80, which I guess Vooch can too, but he doesn't play as many minutes. But it's not even that Allen is like a top play on the slate or anything, but he sure as hell can go get 40 plus, 40, 45 points any given night. And it's like outside, even though like you have a few guys that project as just like elite plays, but then you have another like whole group of guys where it's like, yeah, that wouldn't be surprising.
Yeah, exactly. And that's sort of where I land on Allen. If he's 27% on DraftKings, like that seems high to me.
Yeah, I'll be under that, I would think.
But there's no like I'm happy to have him here.
Right. I'm not looking at it like, oh, you played Jared Allen, you suck. I'd be very surprised if he's in a quarter of my lineups.
Yeah, agreed. Anybody else for Brooklyn? Are you interested in Joe Harris or DeMarre Carroll, Urux, Ed Davis?
No.
Joe Harris projected for 20% ownership on DraftKings, and DeMarre Carroll's at 18.
What? Why?
Because the Brooklyn Nets have the third highest implied total on the slate, and they play the Nets, is my guess. Or they play the Knicks, is my guess.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but like, what is Joe Harris gonna? God damn, he's gonna score he's gonna hit like 10 threes today.
It's the Saturansky corollary here.
Yeah, I think they're both perfectly reasonable like point per dollar plays, but they're just not the type of guy that when they're approaching 5K, especially Harris, but Carroll too to an extent, it's really hard for them to like win you anything.
I love that you caught yourself mid-sentence there. Like, I know that like this becomes a soundbite.
Yep.
That's how I feel talking about Saturansky now. I didn't notice the one with Laffy yesterday until it happened. We just got a couple of these guys where I think that we control the universe.
No, it's like I just like cringe every time because like we'll be doing a show and we'll be doing the deeper dive and we'll name like 4 guys on a team that we like, and then Laffy will be like, I mean, do you feel the need for any so and so, and I like laugh, and as soon as I laugh, it's just like, oh,
no, and then all of a sudden that guy is a lock for 45.
right.
All right, we'll go to the Knicks. Obviously everybody is probably still a little salty on Enes Kanter night. Do you think he plays today?
No.
Okay. I don't know what to think anymore. He can play 28 minutes today, and I wouldn't even bat an eye at it.
I think the better question is, do you think that as of right now, 9:47 a.m., David Fizdale knows if Enes Kanter is going to play today?
No, not at all. At this point, we just kind of need like James Dolan to call it in.
Right. That's who needs to get involved in the Knicks to make this thing more stable.
Exactly. Everybody knows that when things need to get better for the Knicks, it needs more James Dolan. Yeah, so I'm not projecting him in right now. I don't know what to do.
I mean, I think there's a better chance that it's at a point where they're just like, okay, we're done with this. We're going to just like let this die down, than that they're going to be like, oh, you're playing today, but you're also not playing tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's either done, or it all flips on its head, and this is like the Enes Kanter apology tour.
Right, yeah.
Either way, I'm not interested in figuring out how this shakes out.
Yeah, if we get news that he is playing, then obviously by all means.
Yeah, he's going to eat Brooklyn up if he plays. Yeah. He's going to take that as a personal slight, and Jared Allen's not going to do shit about it.
Right.
Honestly, they'd be better off starting Davis.
Yeah.
Like, because he'll shame Jared Allen. It won't be pretty. And he'll like say, this is for Turkey. No, Vonleh. 5,900 on FanDuel and on DraftKings, $18 on Yahoo. I very much like him on FanDuel and Yahoo, and I'm tolerant of him on DraftKings.
Yeah, so am I. I mean, he's better without Kanter. He's better when he plays center, but he's also better just when Kanter's not on the floor. And if we assume Kanter isn't going to play, then we're going to get both of those things in a great spot here against Brooklyn. So I'm right there with you.
This is also why you don't play Jared Allen at 27% ownership when Vonleh is $100 more expensive and essentially the same thing. I have them separated in projection by like 0.8 of a point. That's at 1/5 of the ownership.
Right.
It's just easier to do that.
I'm updating my Vonleh now to see where I get him at, but yeah, I get him. It's like a point difference for me.
Yeah. Just, I think you mentioned that in Slack yesterday. There's just no reason to go to that for a guy that is essentially the same thing.
Right.
It's not that kind of difference. I have no interest in Emmanuel Mudiay. 5,300 should be appealing. All these additional minutes that are going to Frankie Smokes at this point are starting to scare me. Mudiay, 28 and 18 minutes in his last two. I've got him in for 29. And in theory, he grades out pretty well as a point guard. It just doesn't... I'm not comfortable with it. But if he really is only 4% owned, there's a scenario at which there are other guys chalky at that price point where I would want to go to him.
Yeah, I think I'm a little higher on Mudiay. Okay. Because for one, like he still got his 28 minutes, even with Ntilikina playing 24 last game. I would think that part of the reason Ntilikina, there's potentially at least minutes there for Ntilikina because they were facing James Harden.
Yeah.
I guess he'd probably defend Russell here, but either way, like if I project Mudiay for 28 minutes, he's played 365 minutes since the start of December without Kanter on the floor. He's got almost a 30% usage rate. He's averaged a little over a fantasy point per minute. I think the price tag's just low enough where I end up getting there.
Mudiay is questionable. Did not practice yesterday. Left shoulder injury.
Oh, so the Knicks are going to be even more fun.
They'll have a shoot around today, so we should know in the afternoon. Keep that in mind. And yeah, Ntilikina, last 4 games, 24, 30, 17, and 28 minutes. He appears to just be playing now.
Yeah.
Which is exactly how this should have been for the entire season.
No question.
Fucking craziness.
That's the other reason that I think that I lean towards Cantor not playing, and it's the reason why when they inserted Lance Thomas into the starting lineup against Houston, I got terrified like immediately, because they have so many young wings that whether they're good or not, they want to get minutes for.
Yeah.
By playing Vonleh at the 5 and just sliding everyone down, give Lance Thomas 12, 14 minutes just to like help with the rotation. It just lets you get minutes for Ntilikina, Trier, Dotson, like Knox, all these guys, basically at the expense of Enes Kanter.
Yeah. I want to get Ntilikina to Phoenix. I don't know how to do that, but that's what I want.
Why Phoenix?
I feel like he'd be a really good backcourt partner with Devin Booker. Guard the best backcourt guy, make it a little bit lighter on Booker. Yeah. Doesn't have to carry any sort of offensive load, doesn't take any, allows Booker to still be that guy. If Ntilikina can develop any sort of catch and shoot 3, I think that'd be fun because he is fantastic defensively.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Any Tim Hardaway?
I don't think so. It's just tough with all these guys getting minutes now. He did finally, he played a lot against Houston, but
35.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean 5,900 is okay. If Moody is out, I like Hardaway a lot more.
Sure, that I agree with. Are you going to the Alonzo Trier? 5K on FanDuel, 47 on DK. Played 33 minutes in the last game, 30 in the game before that.
Probably not if Moody is in at that price tag. If Moody is out, I would.
Sure. Who's the biggest benefactor if Emmanuel Mudiay is out? Trey Burke?
Who knows? Probably Trey Burke.
Yeah, okay.
Like they could, I don't know. I really don't know because they could go so many different ways. Like they could just insert Burke in for Mudiay's minutes. They could start Ntilikina at point and then he gets more minutes and Dotson picks up a little bit more time. Like they could go that route. I'm not really sure. I would assume that they just insert Burke.
Yeah. But, it's the Knicks.
Right.
I assume that they would have played Cantor 2 nights ago too.
Yeah.
We see where that assumption got us.
Especially after they said he was starting.
Yeah. Alrighty, moving on. Pour one out for LeBron James Bowl. Cleveland Cavaliers hosting the Miami Heat. Is this line legitimate? I can't remember which ones I had to make up this morning.
109, 101.
Yeah, I got this one. There were a bunch in the middle that I'll have to fix or potentially fix. I could have just guessed them correctly. 100.25 implied total for the Cavs is what I've got. 108.75, but somewhere in that neighborhood. This is ugly. Cavs lowest implied total of the slate. Heat, solid defensive team. Cavs, real bad. We'll start on the Cleveland side where Larry Nance is back. Didn't see that one coming this quickly. He's 5K on FanDuel, 5,800 on DraftKings, $19 on Yahoo. I've got him in for 22 minutes right now, which is a pure guess. How do you want to manage Larry Nance and I guess any sort of trickle-down effects to Nance being back?
I have zero interest in this team unless we get news that Nance is going to play like 30-plus minutes. The
Agreed.
Price tag didn't drop far enough for me to want to get there.
Yeah.
It's a wholly unappealing matchup against Miami. Nance being back just does nothing except make the rotation even tighter. I mean, not tighter in as far as like in a good way. Like just fewer minutes to go around for everyone. Yeah, there's nothing from Cleveland.
Between FanDuel and DraftKings, the highest expected ownership on anyone is 4%.
Yeah.
That sums it up. Just don't do it. This is a terrible, terrible team. I'm done. To the Miami Heat, another team that I hate with a raging passion. Rodney Magruder now getting the DNP.
I actually love that.
I mean, I love it. I don't understand it.
No, but I think that it's nice because I think that's something that actually continues. I don't think that's
I think he's going. I don't think he's going to be on the Heat at the end of this season.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Restricted free agent and stuff next year for a team that is capped out and, I mean, drowning in players. If you're going to, now's the time to do it. Kelly Olynyk also back-to-back bagels coming off end of and a 4-minute performance. So I have Magruder in for 6 minutes just because I didn't know how else to manage the rest of these guys, but I think I'm pretty comfortable dropping those guys completely out.
Yeah.
The Whiteside Bam Adebayo yo-yoing continues. Whiteside playing 32 minutes in the most recent game after coming off of 20. I've got Whiteside in for 26 and Bam in for 22, but it's the same story we always talk about. Like you kind of, and I think you've mentioned this. I don't know if you said it on the show or not, but you almost need to project both of them for the minutes that they can get and set ownership caps on them.
Yeah, exactly. Because we have no idea. Like I have Whiteside. If I had to guess, I'll give Whiteside 27 or 28. But who knows? It really depends on game flow. It depends how they're playing in that particular game. It's not like it's even matchup based, and you can say, oh well, he's going to be out there against this guy. It just isn't how Spoelstra does it. So yeah, don't play them together. But it's such a nice spot against Cleveland that even with Whiteside's price tag jumping from 6,000 to 6,900, it's still, if you got a 30 or 32 minute Whiteside game, that's still way too cheap for this spot.
Yeah. So we can never project these minutes outside of the fact that they will generally add up to 48. Otherwise, use your own discretion. I wouldn't play either of them if it was the only lineup I was playing.
Right.
Otherwise, just try to diversify your bonds. There's another word to that, but I'm not allowed to say it. Justice Winslow, 6,400 on FanDuel, 6,200 on DK, $22 on Yahoo. It's fine. I don't know what to do with these guys.
I like Winslow. I mean, he's been really good.
Yeah. Does he is he the point guard of the future for this team?
Yes, he could be.
Yeah.
If this is an audition, I think he's passing.
I would agree. I'm really interested in the additional Tyler Johnson minutes lately. I don't know if this is just a showcase to be like, yo, he can play 30 minutes if you want to take this expiring contract. Because I've got him in for 29 now. He played 36 in the most recent game, 28, 26, and 35 in the 3 previous.
Yeah, I've him at 32, and he comes out as a really good play.
Yeah. He is 20% expected ownership on DraftKings at 4,200.
One thing...
Go ahead.
I just want to see how Winslow's rates are affected by Tyler Johnson, if they are.
Okay.
So over the last month, they've played 178 minutes together. Nothing really changes for Winslow. 23% usage, 22.2% assist percentage, 10.9% rebounding percentage. So that's good. Johnson's at 21.9% usage. That's surprising.
That is higher than I would have expected. I feel like the days where you think that Tyler Johnson's going to get additional minutes and he becomes this value player, the day where it's when he comes in and plays like 20 minutes and then they give Derrick Jones like 32 somehow.
Tyler Johnson's got to be one of my least favorite value plays just in terms of like ever feeling confident. It's pretty.
I completely agree. I don't ever get that guy right.
Neither do I. And it just sucks because like he's one of those guys where like he's always chalk when he starts, and then it's just like, well, he's a good play, but I also don't want to play chalk Tyler Johnson. And yeah. But since the start of December, so he's played 237 minutes alongside Winslow since the start of December, 22.1% usage for Johnson.
Damn. Also, I said that he was on an expiring. I am wrong.
Isn't he on a long-term deal?
No. Okay, so he signed a 4-year deal, and it had the balloon payment. So this is the year that he makes $19.23 million, coming off of the two $5 million payments. He's got a player option for next year for another 19.2, and in the words of Nate Duncan, I'm pretty sure he's gonna pick up that player option. Yeah, that dude's making $19.245 million next year without question. So never mind on that one. That's why this is not an audition. No one's taking that shit.
This is them trying to like fall in love with Tyler Johnson at this point.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, so his usage really is higher than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that after this. Any Wade or Waiters? Waiters got 29 minutes in this most recent game, 26 in the game before that. He is $4,100 on DraftKings. Dion Waiters feels pretty good here.
You didn't even say revenge.
I know. I was going to.
Yeah, I like Waiters.
I think he's plenty happy not being in Cleveland and living in Miami.
Is he? He'd be getting himself some more stats in Cleveland. I think that's what Dion Waiters cares about.
He already got paid though.
Yeah.
If this were like a contract year, I think he'd like to be in Cleveland right now. But now that he's back, if he's playing 28 minutes, I think he'd rather be in South Beach.
Well, yeah. As of the last 2 days, but prior to that, I think he was pretty unhappy with his current situation.
That I agree with. There was like a week or two stretch once he came back where he was like, "I could be Alec Burks,"
and including when he finally had a good game and then went on Instagram and talked shit to Spoelstra.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So you have to keep in mind that we still can't be super confident in what Spoelstra's doing, but we have seen Waiters run tick up. We've seen him play reasonably well, at least from a scoring DFS perspective, not from a basketball perspective. But so yeah, until it goes the other way, I'm going to go ahead and project him for around 26 minutes.
There you go. Yeah, I like him there. 4,100, pretty easy. He goes on a bit of a heater.
I think that from an ownership standpoint, it's probably a nice pivot from Tyler Johnson. Like I have Tyler Johnson as a better play, and I'll probably have more Tyler Johnson. It's just that like if you were making one lineup and wanted to take a stand there, I don't think it would be crazy.
I agree. Dwayne Wade at 15% expected ownership on DraftKings is one that I've been happily pass on.
Yeah, I don't really see why I would take Wade over Waiters or Johnson. Like he's going to play similar, probably less minutes to Waiters, almost definitely less minutes than Johnson. He's more expensive than both.
Yeah, I don't know. He's better on a per minute basis, but he's also just Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, he's facing Cleveland, I guess, but I don't think that matters.
No, neither do I. Have you seen that he's been like swapping jerseys with people after like his final game against teams?
No, but who the hell is he going to swap with on Cleveland?
Kevin Love, if he's there, I don't know. But the most recent one was the Kings game, and he got a Jay Will jersey, and Jay Will was there and like dapping him up and stuff, and it was pretty awesome. Like Wade looked like genuinely happy to like hug him and talk to him. I think he's just like super popular amongst like that like group of players.
Yeah,
I thought it was fun. Yeah, if this is the last time he's playing in Cleveland, there's Larry Nance. Does he get like Larry Nance's dad's jersey?
Right.
I'm not even kidding. There's not a legitimate Cav where he'd be like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna get out of here." An old LeBron jersey.
Right.
Is Mark Price gonna show up in the Jay Will role? I got nothing. Moving on. Hit that like button, everybody. There's probably a bunch of you, and you probably haven't done it enough. I could probably be more democratic about that. Probably going to land like 2 or 3 thumbs down. Don't do that just out of spite. That's not helpful. Chicago Bulls hosting.
Don't punish me for Josh.
What'd you say?
I said don't punish me for Josh.
Exactly. All right. This line is Clippers by 6 and 220. I have any. This is one I didn't have. Clippers. Oh, yeah, I'm close enough. 108 implied total for the Bulls. 113.5 for the Clips. Oh, yeah. All right, we'll start on the Bulls side. We have Chalk Bobby Portis on FanDuel, 21% expected ownership, $5,300. That's probably where we should start. He's $5,700 on DK. I have no problem with him being $5,300 on FanDuel and playing him near the public. You got 33 minutes in the most recent game. I have him in for 27 right now, but I see no reason that it couldn't just be 33 again. I'm just not confident in what they'll play him.
Yeah, I'm not confident in it either, but this is a spot where, at least matchup wise, it makes sense. We had even talked about it in that Atlanta game that it was the type of spot where he should close and he should play more minutes because he can deal with, Dwayne Dedmon isn't like a big bruising guy. And now you have this Clippers front court where it's some combination of Gortat and Harrell. Portis should be fine here. So I'm okay giving him like 30 minutes.
Okay. I'm going to comfortably bump him up then. It was a guy that I wanted to talk about. I didn't know if I didn't really dig into it before the show, so I didn't know if it was just like, oh yeah, Robin Lopez got teed up and ejected or something.
Oh, that's possible.
All right, if I give him 2 more, I'll just hemorrhage them from Rolo. Yeah, either way, I mean, he looked really good at 27 minutes for me. He looks even better at 29 now, and there's even more ceiling to those minutes. Markkanen for 6,500 I like on DK. I think that's fine. Do you like any other Bulls here?
Yeah, I was just trying to read and make sure that like we didn't miss anything on Robin Lopez that game. Not a ton. Like I'm with you on Markkanen. Chris Dunn's price tag's finally coming up to where I think he's pretty correctly priced. So is Zach LaVine. So yeah, I mean Portis my favorite guy, and then Markkanen, and then like Dunn and LaVine.
Okay. I don't have anybody that is like a fantastic option for me. I'd be fine with any little bits of LaVine, Markkanen, and Dunn. But Portis on FanDuel is just sort of the priority for me, and he's fine on DraftKings as well.
I have him as a really good on DraftKings.
Yeah, it's just a fantastic value on FanDuel.
Right.
How do I get here that my cell phone bill got paid? Thanks, AT&T. I don't need a text about it. Paying a cell phone bill since I was 17 years old. Just assume that I know now. All right, Clippers. Oh god, I hate this team. 7,900 for Tobias Harris on FanDuel, 8,200 on DraftKings, $33 on Yahoo. I really like Tobias Harris for FanDuel. It's scary because he's Tobias Harris. The dude is like the epitome of like a 38-point fantasy game, but there's no Gallo. It's a different role.
Yeah, huge minutes, a little bit more rebounding. Nothing wrong here with Harris.
Okay. Montrezl Harrell, 7,200 on FanDuel, 6,700 on DraftKings, $26 on Yahoo. This looks pretty damn good.
Yeah, I like Harrell. I think that he's like he pairs well with Bobby Portis also, I think.
Yeah. And that's $12,500 power forward combo on FanDuel today.
Yeah, that's a really good one. So it's giving you two centers for $12,500, and they're both well over a point per minute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he played 25 minutes against Miami, but you have to keep in mind Hassan Whiteside played 32 minutes in that game, so it made all the sense in the world for Gortat to play a little bit more. They don't need Gortat against Bobby Portis. Like he can very easily just match Robin Lopez's minutes.
Yeah.
And Harrell gets the rest.
Yeah, love Harrell here. I only have him in for 30 minutes. I think that there are more to be had potentially. And if I have him in for 30, he is my number one FanDuel power forward by like a lot.
Even over Portis?
I think I would rather have Harrell over Portis in that spot.
Yeah. If I give them both 30 minutes, I have Portis a little ahead, but I mean obviously I like both.
It's not a lot. I had not refreshed. It's still Harrell by a hair, but it's Harrell 1, Portis 2. Portis was like 4th before, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. So like that, Blake. I thought it was more of a ceiling thing, but no, it's Harrell and Portis. And if Harrell is really projected for 15% ownership on FanDuel, that is a very easy spot to be well north of the field. There's value in that number.
Yep. And from a projection standpoint, I think it makes a ton of sense to just give Gortat the same number of minutes as Lopez and Harrell the same number of minutes as Portis.
Yeah, I actually gave Gortat like even less than that. I could certainly see, them working Mike Scott back in and just playing small, even still. Or they can just start not playing Mike Scott every other day again because apparently the entire season of him playing 10 minutes a game is different now.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah, when you lose Gallinari, you have to play Scott less.
I don't understand it. It was like the perfect 1-for-1 transition.
Right.
And
yeah, I guess they like Motley.
I guess. Lucky them. No thank you on Lou Will. No thank you on Pat Bev at 4,800. No, I'm not really interested in Gilgeous-Alexander at 43 on FanDuel either. Beverly and Gilgeous-Alexander both at 15% ownership. Would you want to be with, do you like that?
Not really. I mean, they're both guys where I don't mind them at their price tags, but neither one is a great fantasy producer. There is still some volatility in their minutes, especially Gilgeous-Alexander. So, yeah, I mean, I don't love it. I think that it depends on what value opens up throughout the day,
sure.
Large part.
And they need every bit of those minutes.
Right.
So I'd rather just be somewhere else. Alrighty, the big one. The Houston Rockets taking on the Toronto Raptors. What is this line? 2 and 227. What do I have in? 2 and 222. Okay, so I'm a little low. Rockets 112.5 implied total. Raptors 114.5. Raptors 2-point favorites. No, that is flip flop now. Okay, the lines are all over the place here. I'm gonna trust Pinnacle. I'm gonna say that Houston is favored.
Oh wow.
Not that it matters all that much. Yeah, so flip what I just said. We have 114.5 to the Rockets, 112.5 for the Raptors. Got to start with Chris Paul before we get to James Harden. Paul questionable tonight. Where are you leaning here?
I think he sits tonight.
Okay.
Guessing, but
okay. I have him in as of right now. He's not someone you'll play at all. If he plays, there's no playing James Harden. Would you agree?
Yep.
Okay. If Chris Paul does not play, how would you like to manage $14K on FanDuel, James Harden, $13.8 on DraftKings, and $62 on Yahoo?
I would, assuming value opens up on a 10-game slate, I would like to roster James Harden.
I would also like to do that. It's tricky, though. Of all the spots in the league, of all the potential monster days out of James Harden if Chris Paul is not here, this one actually does scare me.
Yeah, me too.
Because they have a never-ending supply of people that they can run at him. Whether that's Kawhi Leonard just being like, yo, I got this. Whether that's OG Anunoby. Whether that's, Danny Green. They have just so many dudes. And they are such a smart defensive team that it's the first time where it's just like, okay, that's a lot of price.
Yeah, no,
that said, it is not a fade by any means if Chris Paul is out.
Right. I mean, I agree with you. And then on the other hand, you remember that James Harden just shot 25% from three and scored 99 fantasy points.
Mm-hmm. He's insane. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to project him for, if Chris Paul is out, for 40 points, 11 assists and 8 rebounds or something crazy. And you can't get away from it because he's going to take 40 shots. But for right now, if Chris Paul is in, you can't pay that price tag.
So aside from the matchup, the one thing that is scary, and it's not really that scary because he has a 50% usage rate, but the assists really are not there. I think I still would think that they go up, the more he plays with Fareed. Yeah. But since the Chris Paul injury, now he's played 278 minutes without Capella, 32.8% assist percentage. So I mean that's pretty big because like when you go back to last season and you look at those numbers, he's up around 50%, which again is a reason why I think that over a larger sample it would increase. But you're just not seeing him, for one, be very interested in picking up assists, and two, there's just not really anyone for him to give the ball to pick up assists.
Defense doesn't matter with Harden.
I agree. Was that like a comment in chat?
Yeah.
They're finally coming around.
Yeah. Yeah.
It only took this entire stretch of Chris Paul being out, but chat is back to board.
Yeah, it's not relevant. It's not stopping him from shooting. It might stop him from getting good looks, but it's not stopping him from getting looks. He's gunning one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, to put it so, against bad defenses, I get him projected for like 74 to 76. Against this defense, I get him projected for like 72.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got him for 68 right now in DK, and that's with Paul in for 26 minutes. But it's a really hard justification to force that in with Chris Paul. Do you have interest in Fareed one way or the other? 62 on FanDuel, 53 on DK?
It's starting to get a little uncomfortable at 53. I still have some interest there. Again, it really depends on what kind of value opens up. Because he is obviously a good per-minute producer. Played 26 minutes last game after playing 23 the first game. I think that if he's going to play 26 to 28 minutes, he ends up being a good but not great play.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not loving it. I'm not really liking anything for Houston.
No, me neither. It's pretty much Harden or bust.
Yep, I agree. If Paul plays, what kind of a minutes allotment are you thinking? Like I said, I have him in for 26. He's certainly not going like 34 or something.
Yeah, 26 seems as good a guess as any.
Okay. Raptors.
Eric,
Go ahead.
5,300 Eric Gordon, I think, is decent.
With or without Chris Paul?
Without Paul.
Okay. Yeah, I can get talked into it.
Played 36 minutes last game.
Yeah. Kawhi Leonard, 10-3 on FanDuel, 9,500 on DraftKings, and $45 on Yahoo. How would you like to approach Kawhi in his first game back after managing his load?
I don't see really getting to him. It's not even that the price tag's too expensive for how I project him. It's just that it's more expensive than I want to pay on this slate for a guy who normally just isn't going to significantly outproduce it. He's just not that type of player from a DFS standpoint.
I'll have some. He won't be a priority. Houston defense has been pretty bad lately. It's the only really appealing factor. There's not a lot out there in Houston to really slow down Kawhi. I don't know, James Ennis, I guess, but that'll probably get laughed at.
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry, 7,500 on both sites. No, thank you with Kawhi back.
Nope.
I don't care, but it's not a, it'll be like a 5% thing.
I would be surprised if he ends up in a lineup.
Okay. Siakam and Ibaka.
Just to clarify, I'm not saying like I'm not playing any Kyle Lowry. I'm doing whatever my projections give me. I just would be surprised.
Yep, I understand.
Yeah, I know you do.
Gotcha. Pascal Siakam, 6,200 on FanDuel, 6,400 on DraftKings. That is a fantastic price for this dude.
Yeah, he's my favorite guy on Toronto. I think
I would agree.
He's like a point per minute guy with or without Kawhi. Should play around 34, 35 minutes here. It's still not a huge priority for me. Like on FanDuel, you have Harrell, you have Portis. On DraftKings, you have tons of guys. Yeah, I don't know. This Toronto in general with Kawhi back is just really unappealing to me.
For the most part, I agree. Like Ibaka at 6,700 is a pretty tough sell on FanDuel. 6,300 is okay. But I think Siakam's $6,200 price tag on FanDuel is the only really appealing one. If Kyle Lowry really is 14% owned on FanDuel, steer clear. That's it for me here. Can't play anybody else on the Raptors.
Yeah, I mean, Ibaka takes a hit and his price tag came up. I mean, that's the thing. These guys' price tags, even if it's not significant, their price tags have come up a little bit. And Ibaka takes a hit with Kawhi. Lowry becomes a spectator with Kawhi. So, yeah, I'm good.
All righty. Memphis Grizzlies hosting the Sacramento Kings. That's another game I didn't have a line on. Memphis by 1, 213. Memphis by 2, 216. I was in the ballpark. 107 implied total for the Grizzlies, 106 for the Kings. Not appealing there. Pace up spot for Memphis for those that are lucky enough to get here. We'll start on Conley and Gasol. Conley, 8,400 on FanDuel, 77 on DK, 29 on Yahoo. We have Conley projected for 5% ownership on DraftKings. I sort of like being above that number.
Yeah, I like Conley.
Yeah.
Man, they got Marc Gasol's price up quick.
Yes, they did. I was really digging him as like the value center.
Yeah.
Turns out it's not there anymore. I don't have much interest in Marc Gasol at 8K on FanDuel or 8,300 on DraftKings. 8,300 on DraftKings in particular.
Yeah, it doesn't even really have anything to do with Gasol. It just has more to do with the position.
Yeah, there's 25 other dudes I could play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely like Conley. Noah, I think, is back. So
Sure.
that's not optimal. How do you want to manage Jaren Jackson, 6K, 5,400? Same way we always do. Accidentally play 70%.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm still going to get a good amount of Jackson probably because he'll probably be projected to be low owned. And, he played like 25 minutes last game because he somehow managed to get in foul trouble against some combination of Marvin Williams and Bismack Biyombo. But again, like that's the only risk. It's not that they have trouble getting him minutes or anything like that. If he doesn't foul, he plays big minutes and he's productive. He's in a great spot. So I'll keep playing him in tournaments.
Alrighty. Justin Holiday, 4,100.
I mean, you kind of have to have some interest, right? Like he's playing 38 minutes a night.
Hold on, I got to handle something in YouTube chat.
Like it's Justin Holiday. He sucks. I don't like rostering him, especially at high ownership. But I will say, and I assume it'll be the case again today. It was definitely the case last slate. So you have Justin Holiday playing like 38 minutes. You have Garrett Temple playing like 36 minutes. Last slate, Holiday was like 18% owned, and Garrett Temple was, not exaggerating, 0.1% owned. They're essentially like Holiday's more productive, but they're pretty similar players to the point where when they're like the same price tag, obviously in the same matchup, and that kind of ownership discrepancy, Temple is the guy that I would prefer.
Yeah, absolutely. Justin Holiday, 22% on DK right now. Garrett Temple, obviously, bagel.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Justin Holiday in the last 30 days is at 0.59 fantasy points per minute. Garrett Temple is at 0.53. That's just different flavors of doo-doo, baby. Just take the guy that's not getting played. I mean, try to find somebody else.
Well, right.
But, given if you end up at it, just pick Temple instead. It's just that easy. Go to Sacramento now. I'm assuming all of these Sacramento guys that didn't play are playing today.
Yeah, so am I.
So we can talk about them in the normal way. Really terrible spot for the Kings. Fox, 7,600 on FanDuel, 7,300 on DraftKings, 29 on Yahoo. This does not feel very appealing to me.
This is like a 10-game slate that feels like it has 3 games.
It really does.
Because there's nothing here that looks very good to me.
Okay. Buddy Hield, 6K on FanDuel, I think is kind of appealing.
Yeah, I mean, just because he can shoot the lights out in any given game, but with this team fully healthy, you're still running into the issue of, does he play 30 minutes or does he play 36? And that obviously matters a lot. It's not an appealing matchup. It's whatever.
Yeah, I'm okay with the 6K on FanDuel. I'm not okay with 68 on DK. Yeah. That's craziness. I'm finally at a point where there's no reason to roster Willie Cauley-Stein.
Yeah, I mean, they're finally giving Harry Giles the minutes he should get. So
I assume he will not be the center of the Kings next year.
Cauley-Stein?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not.
Although, who knows? Depends what they can sign him for. I don't really have much when in Bagley or I'm kind of just done here. I mean, Harry Giles, I guess, is a thing on FanDuel. Otherwise, I'm good.
Yeah, when they're fully healthy, you just can't really get to them with any sort of frequency.
I agree. Moving on. Hit that like button, people. NBA strategy, promo code, Thrive Fantasy, all that good stuff. 4 games left. Dallas Mavericks hosting the Detroit Pistons. Mavs 108.25 implied total. Pistons 104.25. Sounds close enough. Luka Doncic, 9,000 on FanDuel, 84 on DK, $40 on Yahoo. Probably not for me today, unfortunately.
I'll probably get a decent amount on DraftKings, depending on his ownership projection, obviously. But if he's projected lower than D'Angelo Russell, I would think I end up kind of probably getting overweight on Luka. I think the price tag's fine, and obviously he's a really, really good player. Guard forward eligibility helps as well.
Yeah, he's at half of Russell right now.
Yeah, I don't think Russell is twice as likely to outscore Luka Doncic.
I agree. DeAndre Jordan, 7,700 on FanDuel, 71 on DK, 2,700 on Yahoo. I have a mild amount of interest here, but nothing too crazy.
It's just always tough to roster a center who probably plays like 32 minutes and who also has no offensive game.
Yep, I agree.
Because so it's kind of like you saw with Steven Adams last night. I didn't have Steven Adams, and I am like seeing his line, and I'm just like, man, I need Steven Adams. And then you look, and it's like, oh, he got like 40 or 42 or something, and like it's good, but it's not great, and it's just because like he can't have that like offensive explosion.
Yeah, had him in cash, worked out well. But
yeah,
I hear
perfect cash plays, but it's just like they so rarely actually exceed their price tag from a tournament standpoint.
Right. DSJ, 5,900 on FanDuel, 4,800 on DraftKings, coming with 16% ownership. He's $14 on Yahoo. Played monster minutes in the return, 37 more minutes than any other player on the team.
Yeah,
that's some makeup minutes. If he's $4,800 though, he should probably be owned even more than 16%.
Yeah, I mean it's scary because it's Dennis Smith Jr. But the biggest thing, I mean, other than him being inconsistent from a production standpoint, but the biggest thing that has held back his value for most of the season is that he's playing like 28 minutes in most games because he's dealing with JJ Barea. Barea obviously is out. There's no real need to give Jalen Brunson minutes at all. So it really should be, and finally I think is Dennis Smith Jr.'s chance to run the show here. And then also they staggered his minutes with Doncic, so he did get a share of his time, around like a quarter or a third of his minutes came with Luka on the bench, where he's gonna handle the ball even more.
Yeah, I mean for 4,800, I've got him in for 32 minutes. It's really hard for him to not be like a really nice value and a fantastic like point per dollar play. Just too much time now. Any Harry Barnes or Wes Matthews?
Not with any sort of frequency. Smith and Doncic are the two for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't have anything else here.
Nope.
All right. Pistons, Drummond back. Griffin, 10-1 on FanDuel, 99 on DK, 45 on Yahoo. Drummond, 91, 88, and 33. You want either of these guys?
Not particularly. It's another situation where you just see price tags going up because of Drummond being out, and then Blake takes a hit when Drummond comes back. So I think Drummond's okay at 8,800. I don't have an issue there. I'm not paying almost 10K for Blake on DraftKings.
I agree. He's at 2% ownership on DK.
Blake?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yep. No one on this team is above 5% on either site. So I think we're probably good here unless you have like a really hot Reggie Jackson take or something.
I'm trying to find his minutes from last game just to
30. Yeah.
So I mean, even if I project him for 30 minutes, I get like a neutral play. I guess the reason to play Reggie Jackson would be like if you're single entering, like I think Dennis Smith Jr. is the better play. Yeah. But at the same price point, if you're just going to get an absurd amount of Dennis Smith Jr. ownership and you could just go to Reggie Jackson, that's probably a profitable move.
That I agree with. Good on you pointing that out. 11 and 230. Close enough. 119.75 implied total for the Milwaukee Bucks. Highest of the slate. 108.75 for the Hornets. Monster favorites here for Milwaukee. Hornets defense, putrid. Bucks defense, fantastic. We'll start on the Milwaukee side. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 11.5 on FanDuel, 10.7 on DK, $55 on Yahoo. He's at 1.79 fantasy points per minute over his last 30 days. I actually like Giannis here quite a bit, as does the public. 25% expected ownership.
Yes, I mean, so do I. I wish the Bucks weren't so good. Like, it limits Giannis's fantasy appeal so much how good that team is.
Yeah. Here's one for you. Over the last 30 days, James Harden, 1.81 fantasy points per minute. Number 2, Giannis, 0.02 of a point behind him.
Yeah, and probably like 10 minutes a game.
Yeah, Harden has played 543 minutes in that time. Giannis has played 372.
Yeah, so I mean that's the problem. The good thing is that in competitive games, we've actually seen him playing 36 minutes again. There was that stretch where he was playing like 32 to 34 regardless. Yeah. So that's nice to see at least. You just need Charlotte to be able to hang in this game, which obviously is a big question mark, but we're not going to say it's not going to happen.
Right.
And you're getting a nice discount on Giannis. So, yeah, I do really like him a lot, especially, I mean, so far, like there's just not value on this slate that we feel great about. And so if that remains the case, you really do have to consider that you're getting a $3,000 discount off of James Harden.
Yeah. The only real issue, and it's, we can touch on it in a bit, I guess, is the fact that we have Giannis at 10-7 on DraftKings. We have Jokic at 10-6. We have Towns at 10K. Giannis is projected for 24% ownership. Towns 22. Jokic at 16. Like, they're all just sort of there. There's not any natural ways to get off of that unless it's James Harden. And I'm anxious to see what that ownership does if Paul gets ruled out, how that affects those other three guys in the 10K range.
Right.
I don't really know the answer at this point. Who do you prefer more in the Bledsoe, Middleton, Brogdon trio?
Whoever's the cheapest on whatever site you're playing.
So Brogdon?
Yeah. Well, wait, what?
I mean, it's always Brogdon. So.
Yeah. No, I know. But, no, I just had their minutes, I think, lower than they probably should have been.
Bledsoe's at 17% ownership on FanDuel, as is Middleton. Brogdon at 9%. And then on DK, it's Bledsoe 7%, Middleton 16%, Brogdon 11%.
So on DraftKings, I get Middleton number 1, Brogdon number 2, Bledsoe number 3.
Yeah, it is the exact same order that I have. Perfect. Yeah, I'm happy with any bit of any of those guys.
Brolo is in a great spot.
Yeah, 5,600 on FanDuel, 5,500 on DraftKings, 19 on Yahoo. There's another guy. He is projected for 0 ownership on DraftKings. There's another guy in that mid-5s range where you can pretty quickly see that you don't need to play chalk there. Just grab him over whoever.
I mean, the minutes obviously are the concern. He played 34 last game, but prior to that, he hadn't been playing a lot.
Yeah. I have him in for 28 right now, and that's still fine.
I'm gonna give him like 30, I think. But yeah, and like the rates aren't going to be great for him just because they're not. But it's just such a great spot against the Charlotte team right now without Zeller in there.
Yep. Anybody else here?
Nope. I think name the entire starting 5.
We did, and that's in this case how it should be, especially if Lopez is unowned.
Right.
Kemba Walker, 8,800 on FanDuel, 8,100 on DK, $34 on Yahoo, 16% expected ownership across both sites. $8,100 Kemba Walker on DraftKings, I think, needs a close eye, even though this is about as unappealing of a spot as they're going to find.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, talent at the end of the day is one of the things that really, really matters to me more than anything. And Kemba has it, and 8,100 is just too low. Especially, I mean, if they hang in this game, and from the way we just talked about Milwaukee and how much we like their guys relative to pretty much any game we've talked about so far, I would say that as of right now, I expect to have a lot of Milwaukee across my lineups. It only makes sense to be just kind of trying to get, maximize this game staying close. And Kemba is clearly the number one guy to make that happen.
Yeah, like if you have a Giannis Middleton lineup on DK, not having Kemba would concern me.
Yeah.
I mean, you're anticipating Milwaukee keeping it close. And if this game is close, Kemba Walker's going to play 38, 39 minutes. And even if it starts off slow for him, you can assume that the fourth quarter is the spot where he maybe puts the foot down on the gas a little bit more. I really like him at this price point.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those he's definitely a fourth quarter guy. Yeah. Every time I roster him, I end up just like bitching about him to one of my friends on Twitter, to the point where he actually came up with a Kemba Walker rule that I just can't talk about him until the fourth.
And if he starts off and has like a big first half and that game is close, look out.
Oh, yeah.
Because he is going to gun that shit in those final 8 to 10 minutes. How do we want to hash out the Hornets center situation? We talked about Brook Lopez looking like a decent play. Is this a spot where we see less Biyombo, more Willie Hernan-Gomez? Or is it a spot where we see less of both of those guys and more Marvin Williams and MKG?
I think more Marvin Williams than MKG. There's no reason that Marvin Williams can't be out there against Lopez. Like, Lopez isn't like posting him up or anything, that frequently. Yeah. But also having MKG out there makes them better defensively against Giannis.
Yeah.
So I would think that you just see less Biyombo because he serves no purpose on Brook Lopez.
No. So what do you have him in for minutes? I have him in for 23. I had a hard time going lower than that, but he played 9 on the 17th. I don't know if that was related to anything in particular, but I would happily go down into like the mid-teens but it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm probably going to go to like 22 or something.
Okay.
Like, I don't think Williams is going to play like the entire game at center or anything like that.
No.
But yeah, and I mean, if you look at the recent games where Biyombo has played a bunch, it was against Gasol, it was against whoever was playing center for Indiana on the 20th. I assume Turner was back. It was against Phoenix with Ayton. Like, it was against centers where it made sense for Biyombo to be out there. Biyombo doesn't do anything by wandering around the 3-point line with Brook Lopez.
No, he does not. It could not be more useless when Brook Lopez is on the floor. If you want to give him every minute that Ersan Ilyasova plays, you're probably still doing it wrong, but
right. Like, I'm giving Biyombo minutes just because he's the starter, and
yeah,
I assume he's going to play some minutes. If I had to like just actually match up with guys, like, he wouldn't play.
Right.
They wouldn't play a center. They would just start Marvin Williams, and then you would have like MKG play center or something.
I'm fine if it's more Willie Hernangomez minutes in this scenario over as a center, but even that's marginal at best. I don't have any real interest in anything here in Charlotte.
Outside of Kemba.
Outside of Kemba.
Jeremy Lamb at 5,200 is too cheap.
Yeah.
Especially, again, if you're trying to maximize this game. Like, if it's not Kemba, it's Lamb.
I agree. Just, he's not getting that same monster minute total like he was getting earlier. And if it's 30, I have less appeal.
He also, though, this is also a spot where it would make sense for him to get a little bit more run defensively. Like, he's long. He can certainly help from that standpoint against this team.
That's true. There you go. Get a little Lamb in your life.
I mean, I have him at 30 minutes. I'm not doing anything crazy. But even at 30, I get him at 5,200 on DraftKings. I get him as a pretty decent play.
I agree.
And I don't think it would be crazy if he got more. He actually... I don't know. It wasn't even foul trouble, but in their last game against Memphis, he actually started the fourth quarter, and then he subbed out at the 9:37 mark after picking up what looks like his third foul. So like, it would be a weird time to care about the fouls, but he did sub out like because of the foul. So I don't know. Maybe there were a couple more minutes there.
Okay. Want to go to the late night hammers?
Yeah, even though they kind of suck on the slate too, but yeah,
they do. Did I guess that line? Nope, that one's just right. Nope, even bigger total. 224. Oh, this is brutal. The Phoenix Suns and the Denver Nuggets. Nuggets at home. 120 implied total for the Nuggets. Number 1 on the slate. Suns 104, second worst. 16-point favorites in Phoenix. No TJ Warren. Probably no. What?
In Denver.
Yeah, in Denver. No TJ Warren. Probably no DeAnthony Melton. I'm not assuming that. I don't think that Ayton is going to play here. Holmes questionable. Oy vey. Let's go to Denver, I guess. It should come as no surprise that this is a fantastic spot for the Nuggets. Probably an understatement. 10-9 for Jokic on FanDuel. 10-6 on DK. $47 on Yahoo. I mean, he eats these dudes completely alive no matter who is playing at center. It really makes no difference the health of anyone. What do you want to do with Jokic here?
I kind of want to project this game as a blowout. Like not saying like I'm just not going to play Jokic. I'm saying like I want to like full on like give Mason Plumlee like 23 minutes and like play Mason Plumlee. Yeah, I mean,
do you think they play Mason Plumlee at center? Mason Plumlee got 4 minutes the last game.
He got ejected.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
For what?
Fighting Derek Favors.
Ah, okay. Okay, that makes sense to me. I didn't
see
that.
He got ejected. Jokic played 37 minutes, edged me out by like a rebound. It was a really fun time.
Okay. That's fair then.
But
I still have him in for his normal run. It's not like
yeah,
I thought he was getting bageled or anything, but yeah. I mean, I like Mason Plumlee at 3,900 more than I like Jokic.
yeah. I mean, that's where I'm at, and like I wasn't really joking because Lofty and I and you talk all the time about not projecting blowouts. But if you are going to make the exception and do it for the game. Don't use it as an excuse not to roster someone because the game might not stay close.
Yeah.
Um,
It's also not like we need to touch on this in like you're not playing Mason Plumlee in one lineup because you're projecting a blowout in this game.
right,
But if you're max entering something, a share of Mason Plumlee or multiple shares in a 150 scenario is a different scenario.
right. Although at 3,900 power forward on DraftKings, I would be cool playing Plumlee in any format.
I agree.
But that's not just because the game could blow out. It's because if it stays competitive, you're still getting 18, 20 minutes from Plumlee.
Yeah, you're still getting a base of 20 points.
Right.
And if he plays 26 minutes and has a decent game, you're looking at potentially 40.
Right, exactly. So yeah, I mean, Jokic, whatever of him I get, I'm cool with. Like, it's obviously a phenomenal spot. It's really tough for me just to give him a lot of minutes because, for one, I mean, even without factoring in the blowout, like, you have this team finally getting healthy. And earlier in the year, we had seen him playing, 32, 33 minutes most nights. Plumlee doesn't have to play power forward. He can play more of his minutes backing up Jokic. And it makes it easier for Mike Malone to kind of, keep Jokic to a reasonable number of minutes. Then on top of that, you had him play 37 minutes last game because of the ejection. Yeah. So, it would just make all the sense in the world for Jokic to play like 32 minutes here, which is when you're like kind of splitting hairs between all these 10.5K guys that matters.
There is absolutely no reason that Mason Plumlee should sniff a single second of power forward minutes at this time for this team right now.
Correct.
It's craziness. Craziness. What happened to Paul Millsap?
What do you mean?
Last 4 games, 18, 23, 25, 21.
I'm not sure.
Those are minutes.
Yeah, I figured.
They're finally working Trey Lyles back in. Lyles played 20 minutes in his last 3.
Got to wait for the team to get fully healthy to get Trey Lyles back in there.
I mean, he should. Well, I mean, I think Juancho should probably be playing more at the 4, but that's neither here nor there. Like, I think Lyles should be playing like the non-Millsap power forward minutes for the team.
Yeah, so do I.
But you went from gone to now back, and now Millsap is playing minimal, which I guess is fine. If you're trying to tread water until you get to the playoffs, like that's when you want Paul Millsap to be healthy. But it's just odd. I wouldn't expect, especially in a game where, like, in theory, Paul Millsap should be the backup center for this team.
Plumlee's good though.
Oh yeah, I agree. But if we're talking about like the way that the league is going, Paul Millsap at the 5 for whatever is really easy to get behind. Yeah. I mean, he's more of a 5 now than ever before.
I didn't even realize that against Utah, Plumlee actually subbed in as a power forward, not as a center.
So there are a couple things we need to point out for the rest of this Nuggets team. Gary Harris is $4,400 on FanDuel. He played 28 minutes in this most recent game. I gave him those 28 minutes, and clearly he becomes a fantastic play.
Yeah, no question.
5K on DraftKings. If I get it, it's fine, but I'm not super worried about it. Will Barton is $5,100 on FanDuel and $6,100 on DraftKings. Will Barton played 30 minutes in the most recent game. Again, fantastic value if he's going to be playing those minutes now. Any issues there?
No, not at all.
Okay. How do you want to manage Jamal Murray for $6,900 on FanDuel? He's $7,100 on DraftKings.
I mean, I think he plays like 30 minutes.
Yeah, I have no interest in Jamal Murray.
That's the other reason that I actually am leaning towards giving like projecting this game to be non-competitive in the 4th, because I don't think, at least on DraftKings, and I don't think it would even matter on FanDuel because Harris is so cheap. Like, I don't think I get to a lot of these guys anyway. Yeah. So I'm kind of just maximizing my upside by, hoping this game does blow out, because like if I don't get to a lot of Jokic and this game is, a 1-point game down to the wire, I'm kind of screwed anyway.
Yep, exactly. It's a really it's a tough sell here. Jokic should absolutely eviscerate this team, and
Oh yeah,
he totally doesn't have to because they have 12 legitimate NBA players on the roster.
right. It's just another team that's getting fully healthy right now. The minutes are it's still really difficult to even project the minutes because we haven't seen exactly how it's going to work out in a competitive game, where everyone is not ejected and healthy, and so it's just really tough to prioritize anyone outside of just like cheap guys hoping that they, something happens and they get more minutes than normal.
Do you think any of these guys pick up a suspension for leaving the bench?
I'm not sure. I didn't see the video.
No one came onto the court because they were on the baseline. I mean, Jokic tried. he was, a good 3 or 4 steps up the baseline.
I wish he had gotten ejected.
They shouldn't. I don't really know the official terminology of the rule. They never stepped foot on the floor. And I think that's probably like the key loophole in all of this. The whole rule is stupid. If they immediately take 3 steps forward and then 3 steps back, it should never matter. I understand what they're trying to do, but you cannot stop someone from having an immediate reaction.
Right.
If they catch themselves, that's fine. If they keep going out on the court to fuck somebody up, then yeah, suspend him. But
right.
We're at a point now where we don't have to be so quickly reactionary like the post Malice in the Palace.
Right.
Just like if he takes 3 steps, he takes 3 steps. He comes back.
Well, it was like an interesting situation too with the when Marcus Smart charged at whoever it was the other day. Like I was watching the game and the commentators like, because like they couldn't hold Smart back, like he kept just like getting away, and they were like they need to get Baines out here to just like grab him, and it was like yeah, but if Baines comes and grabs him, he gets suspended.
Yeah, like that's silly. It's so silly. Measure it after the it's one of those things where you have to measure it after the fact. If you can see that they gave up, like Jokic was doing his damnedest. He wanted to be out there until finally they got them back. But yeah, they were all on the baseline, so no one was ever physically on the floor. I don't know. I mean, I have nothing else. Like, play the guys that benefit from the minutes if these guys get suspended. If Nikola Jokic gets suspended for a game, you play the living shit out of Mason Plumlee. Everyone knows that.
Right.
Like, there's not... It's essentially irrelevant news. If Jamal Murray is out, you'll play a lot of Monty Morris or Malik Beasley. Probably Monty Morris.
Yep.
Yeah, like those questions generally answer themselves.
And also
everyone's going to do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No question. So if I think that this is a reasonable spot too. Again, just kind of with how to approach potential blowouts. Like where I have Jokic, it makes sense to just have Devin Booker.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. Let's talk about Devin Booker. 8,300 on FanDuel, 7,900 on DraftKings. The craziest part of all of this, 9% ownership on both sites.
Price tag's nice.
It certainly is.
Yeah, so this is like the kind of opposite example where, and it sucks because it's going to end up going, both ways. But like where Jokic's price, or it's not even that his price is bad, but Jokic just isn't someone that I would get a ton of here anyway because of other options at center. Whereas I would get a lot of Booker if this game stays competitive. He'd be one of my favorite plays. So I'll probably just kind of do the same thing where if I get Booker, maybe I play Jokic or someone else. Because it just all depends on if he plays the fourth quarter.
Let's hope he does. Yeah, I love Booker here, especially at 9%.
Yeah, it's like a 33.5% usage rate without TJ Warren on the floor this year.
I've got him in for 33% right now. I have Holmes in for 24 minutes right now. No Ayton. No DeAnthony Melton. I don't know where you're standing right now, but is outside of the flat minimum Elliot Kobo, who is only at 11% on DK, which is kind of interesting to me, if that's the case, because he's basically the only legitimate value play out there right now. I assume he plays monster minutes.
Yeah, and I think he's blowout proof too.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he plays monster minutes. I think Kelly Oubre is a phenomenal play because he plays garbage time. He plays like in a competitive game, he'll play 30 plus minutes. In a blowout, he'll play a bunch anyway because he plays garbage time. I said it yesterday, and I still think the same thing today. Like he's a better play than Josh Jackson because you have both of them with TJ Warren out. You have both of them playing. You don't get any opportunity to play 30 plus minutes. But whereas you have Jackson joining the starting lineup, where he goes from a 0.95 fantasy point per minute guy to 0.8 fantasy points per minute when he plays alongside Booker, you have Kelly Oubre staying in his same role where he's playing a bunch of minutes with the second unit, and he can go out there and have a 24.5% usage rate and average almost a fantasy point per minute. And people like playing starters more than backups. So I love Kelly Oubre here. I love Elie Okobo. Beyond that, it kind of just turns into, whatever I can get.
Yeah. I do project Holmes in every game because Holmes continues to be questionable, and that's how I project my minutes.
Yeah, I have Holmes out, but same thing. I mean, not the same thing, but like that's what I've been projecting him out every game, so I'm just still doing it.
Yeah, it's called consistency. If I don't do that, then I get a lot of questions in our Slack chat about why people are in or out. So easier to just say questionable. Yeah, love Oubre, Okobo. I mean, 3,600 on FanDuel, 3K on DK. He should be the most popular punt of the day.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't really have anything else here.
So Jamal Crawford played 23 minutes yesterday. He probably doesn't play today.
I have him in for 22.
I mean, it would be either him or Troy Daniels that gets a bunch of minutes.
Yeah.
Not that I think it really matters. Just
no, but they become. I think they're both viable punt drops on FanDuel.
Right.
Depending on how that shakes out.
Yeah. So if Holmes is out, Dragan still at 4,600 is perfectly fine.
Tim Baracco in YouTube chat says, this is going to be fun. Something wrong with Booker mentally at the moment. Yeah, he's putting babies in every Instagram model he could find.
and this high school sweetheart.
Yes. Not to mention his current girlfriend, fiance, wife. I don't know the proper title. But, the one that expected to get it.
Yeah.
At least. So, yeah, he's got a lot on his plate. He's going to be changing a shit ton of diapers. That's not true. He's probably not going to change a single one. Well, maybe for the high school sweetheart if she keeps him around, which she will do because, he's worth $100 million. Oh, God, he's going to have to buy his way out of that one with a ring, Kobe style. that rock that his girl got after the Denver scandal, which no one talks about any longer. That is just like a thing that did not happen to Kobe. I don't know how he got out in front of that the way that he did, but like no one gives a single shit any longer. It's insanity. He just it just stopped mattering.
Right.
I don't get it. Utah Jazz. That can't be right.
116.
Maybe it is right. Holy shit, it is right. It's even worse than that. I'm not changing it. 116 implied total for the Jazz, 106 for the Wolves, but the line is actually 11, so, add some hooks to that. That is a monstrous number. I guess it makes sense. Jazz, just great spot here. I said this in Slack earlier. Who would have thought that Jared Bayless would be the most important part of that Jimmy Butler trade? Good God. Rudy Gobert, 9,400 on FanDuel, 8,500 on DraftKings, and $40 on Yahoo. How do you not love Gobert here?
I don't know. I mean, he gets... So it's like the perfect spot because he's going up against Karl Anthony Towns, which means... And Towns plays, 37, 38 minutes. So you can actually give Gobert, 36 to 38. Like, he should play the upper end of his minutes range. It's a nice matchup. He's defending a guy who's going to have the ball a lot, so he can pick up defensive stats. There's nothing for me not to like about Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, it's fantastic. 1.36 fantasy points per minute over his last 30 days at $8,500 price tag on DraftKings. He's only at 15% ownership, too. I'm in. I'm completely in. Donnie Mitchell, 8,500 on FanDuel, 8,700 on DK, 37 on Yahoo. Seems to be picking it up a little bit. Getting some love on FanDuel, 16% expected ownership, just 3 on DraftKings. You want any Mitchell? Because this feels like a pretty good spot.
A little concerned just because I expect Rubio to play more minutes here,
Yeah.
and it's at some point we're going to be basically paying for Mitchell's previous production. He is playing really well. It is a really nice spot. Minnesota's played faster. They've played really poorly defensively. So yeah, I mean, I like Mitchell. I don't totally love him with Rubio playing more potentially.
Yeah, I have Rubio in for 26. Not really confident in that number at all. I don't really want anything else from Utah either.
Yeah, it's Mitchell and Gobert for me, but especially Gobert.
Yep. Minnesota side, 11-1 for Karl Anthony Towns, 10K on DraftKings, 22% ownership as well, $49 on Yahoo. I mean, Towns has my second highest projection of the slate. He's the highest guy in the non-James Harden division. I'm perfectly happy with Karl Anthony Towns. He's not a great matchup for Rudy Gobert. So,
right.
1.72 fantasy points per minute over his last 30 days, coming in just a hair behind AD, Embiid, and Giannis.
Yeah,
He's been out of his mind.
And probably no Rose.
Yeah. I have no Rose. I have no Teague. Clearly no Covington.
So, this is where I think it gets really interesting, the Harden conversation, too. It has nothing to do with what Harden can or can't do, but you can probably get, Giannis plus Towns, or you can get Harden.
Yeah. Construction is really interesting today.
God, it's going to be terrifying being underweight on Harden.
Yes, it is. I just love Harden.
Oh, yeah. It's just such a good feeling when you look at your team and you're like, oh, James Harden's in it.
Yeah, I want to watch that game too. The wife is having a girls' sleepover today, so I'm just going to hide in my office and play FIFA and watch basketball until I pass out, and then it's going to be a good time.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, she thought I was leaving today instead of tomorrow. She's like, oh, a bunch of people are coming over. That's still cool. I was like, I don't give a shit. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to enjoy the hell out of it. So, yeah, I'm going to watch quite a bit of that Rockets-Raptors game.
Yeah. All right, so I just got Towns pulled up. Since the Jimmy Butler trade, he's played 253 minutes without either one of Rose or Teague on the floor. He's averaged 1.71 DraftKings points, 32.9% usage, 28.6% assist percentage, 22.8% rebounding percentage.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah.
Just got a question of how did the DK lineups go? I essentially doubled up in the quarter jukebox, and all of my cash lineups hit. So we're up like $9, rolling in the loot. That's not the point. It was basically 100% return on my investment yesterday. I'm grinding that bankroll. Wiggins 6,300 on FanDuel, 5,700 on DraftKings, 6% ownership on FanDuel, 10% on DK. I'm gonna have more than that.
Yeah, the price tag is just still too low, I think. The thing with players like Wiggins is, well, for one, he's actually been rebounding really well since the new coach game. I need to dig into that more, but that's been a thing. But in addition to that, even if you just throw that out the window and say that he's still Andrew Wiggins and he still scores and doesn't do anything else, when you get someone playing as many minutes as him, just thinking about it from a math standpoint and throwing out the problems that we have with Andrew Wiggins, if this guy's going to play, if you have someone that's going to play 37 or 38 minutes at a $5,700 price tag, he has to be really, really shitty on a per minute basis to actually hurt you. And if he has any sort of decent game, he does nothing but help you.
Yeah, I have him in for 38 minutes right now. And again, like I said, I don't have Teague and Rose in. They still don't have Tyus Jones. Wiggins is going to soak up as much as he possibly can. I love Wiggins. Even if Rose is in, I still like Wiggins. He's still going to play 36 minutes.
Yeah. The only thing concerning here is that it's a road back-to-back at Utah.
Yeah. It's about as hard of a road back-to-back as you can have. It's probably is the hardest in the league. Even more so than Denver.
But I mean, it's also a slate where we haven't had a single game where we're just like, man, this game is phenomenal. It's going to shoot out. So every game here has risk, whether it's blowout or just not being a very fast-paced game. So I'm more willing to just, hope they hang around.
Do you agree that Teague and Rose aren't playing tonight?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Josh Okogie played 40 minutes last night. I have him in for 34 today. 4,500 on FanDuel, 4,400 on DK. I mean, pretty much the same way that you just explained Wiggins, only just significantly less talented.
Right.
There's too many minutes.
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
and he's got to play no matter what, right? Like,
yeah.
If this game goes to shit, I think he's still out there.
Yeah, I mean they're low on bodies, and like one of those bodies is Luol Deng,
which is barely a body at this point.
Right. And the thing
went out for Luol Deng, man. He's gonna not be remembered as good as he was.
Oh yeah, he was good. The thing with Okogie too is that in those prior games where he wasn't getting a lot of minutes, he was in foul trouble. It wasn't that that Saunders wasn't trying to play him a lot. He was like he's their best wing, like on-ball wing defender. He's supposed to be soaking up minutes at multiple positions when he doesn't foul. So I don't think last night was some like anomaly where he played a ton of minutes. I think that's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
Rose being out obviously doesn't hurt, but
sorry, answering a question in Slack here. Alrighty. Just got in. Did they talk about the Knicks already? Yeah, 2 hours ago. Will you be playing Jared Bayless for 4K on FanDuel or 3,600 on DraftKings?
Yes. Not happily, but yeah.
Yeah. The crown jewel of the Jimmy Butler return. Jared Bayless, who I didn't think was even going to play this season, is now being thrust into 30 minutes last night. I'm projecting him for 32 right now. I don't even know if he can physically do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I have him at too. He's played, we're up to 112 minutes now without Teague or Rose on the floor. He's averaged 0.75 fantasy points per minute. You expect that to come down a little bit playing with the starters, but still should get plenty of, open looks, can knock down threes. Just too cheap. This slate's weird in that like there's not a lot of value, but then you have a 3K Elie Okobo, you have 3,600 on Bayless, you have 30-whatever-hundred on Napier, so it still lets you get stars and scrubs pretty easily, even though there's really a lack of value.
Yep, I'm with you.
He's only played 38 minutes alongside Towns so far. 15.5% usage rate, 36% rebounding or assist percentage. I mean, those numbers seem fine to me. Like he should probably be relatively efficient because Towns and Wiggins are going to draw most of the attention.
Anything else from Minnesota?
Not that I think is important.
I agree. You ready to thrive?
Yep.
Thrive Fantasy, everybody. We're going to go through our favorite player props. Go to bit.ly/Awesemo. You can get $10 on your first $10 deposit, $20 on your first 100, and $50 on your first 200. Let's take a look at the props. And we will start after I delete all of the shit that is already still in my sheet, which I really need to set up a macro to do because clicking in every one of these cells is a pain in the ass. Alrighty. First prop up. Come on. Okay. There's one we'll probably only talk about today and never again. Alonzo Trier. 95 points for the over. 16.5 points plus rebounds. I assume that I blow this out of the water just when I look at it, but I honestly have no idea.
I've at 18.7.
Fuck, do you spell his name? Yeah. Oh, it's a Z.
2L.
I got the 2 L's right. I went S. Reverse Z. I have him at 19.3. And considering he's at 16.5, I can comfortably take that over.
Yep, over for me too.
Now, I'm not comfortable in that he could play 14 minutes tonight and it wouldn't even shock me.
Right, I'm comfortable that if I'm correct that he plays 30 minutes he hits the over.
Yes.
I'm not comfortable that I'm correct that he plays 30 minutes.
Yeah, I'm way more comfortable projecting his projection or his production than his playing time.
Right.
Terrifying. All right, what else do we've got here? Okay, even action over and under. Kawhi Leonard, 34.5 points, rebounds, and assists.
Of 36.3, so over for me.
Yeah, if the line is 34.5, I have him at 39.5. This is probably my favorite prop of the day. And in this particular case, we talk about like the ceiling of Kawhi a lot. He doesn't bagel nights.
Right.
Ever. Like, that's just not, unless he's not on the floor due to injury or something. I mean, you're looking at a pretty consistent, like, 40-plus fantasy game. In his last 7 games, he's gone for 50-plus fantasy points in 5 of those 7. Like, it's a no-brainer for me to take the over there.
Yeah.
Alrighty, we got to do it. And I'm surprised that it's on here like this. James Harden. What?
I said I have the over.
Okay. James Harden. Do you really?
Yeah.
James Harden, 43.5 points. Less points to the over?
Yeah. I have him at 47.1.
You're projecting Paul out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have Paul in. I get 38.3. But even if I have him out, I'm not getting him more than like 41 or 42. So I would actually take the under and the extra 5 points there. Again, assuming that's either scenario. And I think that I would probably be getting the good side of that from an ownership perspective if Paul were out.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. Yeah, I mean, I have him at, if I project Paul out, I have him at 47 points. Rounding, I have him at 47 points, 9 rebounds, like 6 assists.
Do you think that more people would take the over than the under there if Paul were out?
Probably.
Okay.
Like, there's so much attention on Harden right now.
Right. Giannis, 105 points for the over. Points plus rebounds at 39.5.
I have the over very comfortably. I'm at
39.5.
Yeah, I'm at 40.9, so not as comfortably as I thought.
Got a little uncomfortable there.
Yeah.
I'm at 38.9, so I'm actually right on the number. I would pass. Any standing out to you?
I
already know which one we're doing.
Jokic.
I was going to say Luka, but Jokic works too. They were right next to each other.
Yeah. So, I mean, Jokic, it entirely depends, I think, on how many minutes you project him for. More so than like anyone.
Heroic take there.
Yeah. You know what I meant.
Yeah. I mean, it's craziness here.
It depends how the game goes entirely. But yeah, so I mean, at 32 minutes, I have Jokic with 41.7.
I have him at 43.1.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I probably have him under projected.
Look, this is a guy that is close to averaging a triple-double as a center right now. I have his line at 23.5, 11 rebounds, and 8 assists. He's averaging like 8 assists this season. When I talk about him being like the best offensive center in basketball, and we have these Embiid debates and stuff, I don't think people really realize what he is doing on offense this season. He's essentially a point guard at center while still averaging like a high double-double. It's ludicrous.
Yeah. But I have his rates too low also.
At a year younger than Joel Embiid, which I think gets slept on as well.
So yeah, now I have him at, what was it, points plus rebounds plus assists. I have him at 44.7.
Yeah, that's the easiest over on the board.
Yeah.
And if they blow them out, like, he can still get there.
Well, if they blow them out, he's probably a pretty big reason why.
Well, I can see him just having like 12 dimes and 8 points.
Right. Yeah,
his ability to not try to score is like the peril here.
Well, if I cut him to 26 minutes, I get 36.3.
Yeah, that would be an interesting thing to do. Cut his minutes to get to 34.5. It would be a low ass number.
I got the 33.6 in 24 minutes.
There you go. All right, let's close this one out with our boy Luka. 24.5 points plus assists. And you get 110 points for the over.
I'm getting him at like 28.5.
28.6 for me. That over couldn't be an easier pick. If you're playing on Thrive tonight, Luka Doncic over, Nikola Jokic over. Make sure those are 2 of your 10 props. NBA Strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first month with us. Use that on any package you would like. Lofty will have the deep dive out in the early afternoon. Deeper dive will be back from 5 to 6. Live before lock, Chris Baggs, Fast Eddie Fear going from 6 to 7. And in 18 minutes, Ben Raza, Jason Roslin talking college basketball bets, some PGA bets for this weekend, and the first look at some bets for the Super Bowl. Tune in. Adam, anything else?
Nope.
There we go, everybody. Best of luck tonight. I'll be around Slack all day, as per usual. So if you're not a member, sign up with the promo code NBA Strategy. If you are a member, well, you know how the rest of the day is going to shake out. We will talk to you later.